Lucas had run away from his own wedding. When Arthur heard the news, he raised an eyebrow in genuine surprise, taking a good long while to fully digest the information. That man, who had spent his entire life obeying every command issued by their father, Richard Sterling, had actually fled? The anger that had been simmering in Arthur's chest suddenly evaporated, leaving behind only a sense of astonishment and amusement. Lucas had been out of contact for 2 days. At first, everyone assumed he was simply delayed by business, but when he failed to show up at the company on a workday, the severity of the situation finally sank in. The only thing he left behind was a letter on his office desk, stating clearly that he would not marry and was willing to pay the price for his defiance. Grandmother Sterling had been vague about the details, but Arthur didn't need to be a genius to figure it out. The price would be nothing less than giving up the company or leaving the Sterling family entirely. However, the invitations had been printed, the venue decorated, and the elders had been boasting about the wedding to everyone in the industry. Richard Sterling cared about his reputation more than anything. He could not afford to lose face. Therefore, the wedding had to happen. Since the invitations hadn't been mailed out yet, the family hatched a plan. They remembered the other Sterling boy. They figured they could make up an excuse later, saying the younger brother took the older brother's date, or simply gloss over it. The priority was to stall and find Lucas. Grandmother Sterling had rushed back from abroad, her face etched with exhaustion as she sat in Arthur's living room. These girls, though not from the most powerful dynasties, are from respectable families. I picked them out specifically for you. They are all decent matches. You won't be lowering yourself. She looked at him with a mix of command and pleading. You are at the right age. Getting married and having children early is good for you. Arthur snapped back to reality and let out a cold scoff. Grandmother, your news from abroad must be slow. You might not have heard. I have nothing to do with the Sterling family anymore, and I have absolutely no interest in filling this hole for you. Do not be difficult. We are discussing serious business, she snapped. I know you have conflicts with your father, but he is still your father. The blood bond cannot be erased. So, how exactly do I get rid of you people? Arthur asked lazily, leaning back in his chair. Money? How much is Richard Sterling's contribution worth? The money I've received over the years, I've paid back with interest. I don't owe you anything. I'm an adult. I don't need a guardian. His words were blunt and vulgar. Grandmother Sterling looked at him in shock, taking a moment to find her voice. How dare you speak to me like that? Do not forget, I saved your life. If I hadn't nodded my head back then, you wouldn't even have had the chance to be born. My life? You saved it. Arthur laughed as if he had heard a joke. He had intended to speak calmly, but she had brought up the past, pouring a bucket of oil onto his flickering anger. You know very well you only nodded. Did you carry me for 10 months? Did you give birth to me? Or do you really think that without your permission, my mother, Diana, would have aborted me? If you hadn't nodded, could the Sterling family have physically forced Diana to get an abortion? Arthur paused, his smile turning mocking. Oh wait, you people are actually capable of doing exactly that. Grandmother Sterling's face turned pale. She had lived in a greenhouse of privilege her entire life and had never been questioned like this. She knew Arthur was rebellious, but she didn't expect him to be this uncontrollable. Do you really think paying back the money settles the debt? Her voice rose an octave. If not for me, would you have grown up in luxury, gone to good schools, sat in luxury cars, ate fine food? Without these things, you would just be a street thug with nothing. Arthur found it laughable. If not for the Sterling family, if not for all that, he wouldn't have endured years of verbal abuse and bullying. If none of this had happened, he might have lived with Diana in a quiet, remote place. He wasn't afraid of hardship, and neither was Diana. There were many ways to make money in this world. They might not have lived a life of luxury, but they would have survived, simple and happy. There would be no cold words, no discrimination, no humiliation. He pulled his thoughts back and looked at the elderly woman gasping for air in front of him. Grandmother Sterling was old, and her agitation was causing a physical reaction. Arthur paused, then looked at the assistant behind her. Did you bring her medicine? Give her some. Calming pills, or whatever you have. The assistant quickly took a few pills from a portable medicine box. Grandmother Sterling heard this and thought Arthur had finally found some conscience. She swallowed 2 pills and finally regained her composure. Grandma was too hasty just now. Don't take it to heart. You were also being insensible. Don't speak to your elders like that in the future, understand? Arthur sneered but didn't reply. She continued, look at the photos, or if you want detailed files, I can have them sent over. The invitations go out the day after tomorrow. You must give me a choice before then. Arthur asked coldly. Do these women know you put their photos together and let a man pick them out like cuts of meat? Don't make it sound so ugly. The Sterling family is powerful. Many people want to marry in, but can't. Right. Arthur nodded sarcastically. The Sterling family is the sun, the light, the only myth. Every woman in the world wants to marry in. She ignored his tone. I will have someone tailor the suit. Don't worry, the wedding will be grand. I'll make the decision to give you 2 apartments, and I have some shops under my name you can pick from. And the wedding cars. Wait a minute. Arthur interrupted her, feigning helplessness. It's not that I want to go against you. It's just, I can't marry them. What is it now? You aren't satisfied with any of these women. No. Arthur curled the corner of his mouth and dropped the bomb softly. It's just, I don't like women. I like men. I'm gay. How can I marry a woman? Grandmother Sterling sat frozen like a wooden chicken. The living room fell into a deathly silence. Even the assistant gasped. After a long time, she found her voice. Even if you don't like my arrangements and don't want to marry, don't use such a ridiculous reason to stall me. You think I'd use this as an excuse? She stared at him, her eyes darkening. She recalled his past. He had done many bastardly things. Fighting, talking back to teachers, skipping school. But the one taboo line he never crossed was early romance. She had been relieved at the time, thinking at least he wouldn't cause a teenage pregnancy scandal. Seeing her face darken, Arthur chuckled and threw the final bomb. If you don't believe me, ask him to look behind the vase at the door. The assistant stood frozen, looking troubled. Go look. Grandmother Sterling squeezed out the words. The assistant walked over, picked up the small bottle, and gasped after one look. He didn't dare look again, clutching it as he returned to stand behind the old woman. What is it? She raised her hand. Let me see. Madam, this. The assistant hesitated. It's fine, Arthur smiled. It's unopened. Clean. Give it to me. She snatched the item from the assistant. She had learned various languages in her youth for social needs, but she never thought she would use that knowledge on this kind of product packaging. It was written in Japanese. Words like stimulation, lubrication, and double pleasure jumped out at her. If she hadn't just taken her medicine, she might have fainted. She realized Arthur offering her the pills wasn't an act of peace, it was preparation. She threw the bottle onto the coffee table in rage. It hit the glass with a heavy thud. Clang. A sound of something falling came from the bedroom. Arthur's face changed. Grandmother Sterling caught his expression and became even angrier. There's someone in there? You kept this thing in the living room, which means the place of use includes this house. You brought someone home. She felt the medicine wasn't enough. Do you know if this gets photographed? The Sterling family. The family? I told you. I have nothing to do with the Sterling family. Arthur interrupted impatiently, looking annoyed. What fell in the bedroom? What was that one-armed hero doing in there? Seeing his expression, Grandmother Sterling was certain. Arthur not only brought someone home, but right now, at this very moment, there was a man in that room. She stood up abruptly, moving with a speed that belied her 70 years. Arthur reacted quickly, standing up with her. Finally leaving? She didn't speak, her face terrifyingly dark as she marched straight toward the bedroom door. Arthur followed, reaching out to grab her, but stopped his hand in midair. Afraid he couldn't control his strength, he withdrew his hand and blocked the bedroom door with his body, his back pressed tight against it. What are you doing? Move, she shouted. I want to see who corrupted you. No one corrupted me, he frowned. She took a deep breath and grabbed his arm, trying to pull him away. Unable to move him, her nails left red marks on Arthur's skin. Even if you see him, what can you do? Arthur stood motionless, barely feeling the pain, smiling mockingly. Even without him, I'll like the next man. I will never marry a woman in this life. Even if I wasn't gay, I wouldn't clean up your mess. Just as Arthur finished speaking, he felt a force push against his back. Before he could react, the door opened, and he stumbled forward a couple of steps. The bedroom door was pushed open from the inside. A man walked out slowly. He was wearing casual home clothes, his arm in a plaster cast, his expression perfectly normal. Meeting Grandmother Sterling's shocked gaze, he even smiled, greeting her with polite detachment. "Mrs. Sterling, how is your health?" Grandmother Sterling's shock now rivaled the moment she learned Arthur was gay. She had made countless guesses about the person inside, but she never expected it to be Jordan. Jordan was the ideal grandson-in-law she had always wanted for the main branch of the family. 3 minutes later, the old lady sat back on the sofa, taking a large gulp from her thermos. Her heart couldn't take the roller coaster. Arthur was equally messy internally, sitting silently, regretting the situation. Why did Jordan come out? If he had just stayed inside, Arthur could have held the door forever. "Jordan, why are you here? What happened to your hand?" she finally asked. "Scratched it by accident," Jordan replied, clearly not wanting to explain. She forced herself to ask the question she dreaded most. "Are you staying here as a guest?" It was a self-deceiving question. If he was just a guest, why did Arthur block the door so desperately? Arthur paused. "Otherwise." "No," Jordan interrupted naturally, smiling. "We have been living together for a while." Conversation killed. The three sat on the sofa. Two looked grave and complicated, while only Jordan remained unhurried, a smile playing on his lips. The assistant wiped sweat from his forehead in the background. What kind of hellscape was this? Arthur broke the silence, asking impatiently, "You've seen the person. You should go now, right?" "When? When did this start?" she squeezed out. "That has nothing to do with you." Arthur raised an eyebrow. "Are you going to celebrate our anniversary?" She ignored him and looked at Jordan. Jordan smiled, answering irrelevantly. "We are doing well. You don't need to worry." She decided to end this meeting. The amount of information was too great. Recently, the Sterling family had faced many storms. She couldn't collapse now. She stood up. "Mrs. Sterling," Arthur spoke again. "Although I can't marry those women, I have a better idea. You just need a wedding, right? Have you forgotten there is someone else in the Sterling family who can hold a wedding?" She didn't understand. "Who?" Arthur smiled with biting sarcasm. "Your son, Richard." She gasped for air, clutching her chest. She turned to leave, abandoning any thought of communicating with Arthur. As she turned, she saw Jordan bend down and pick up the small bottle of lubricant from the floor, examining it in his palm. "Fortunately, it didn't break," Jordan said with a smile. Grandmother Sterling was left speechless and fled. Soon, only the two men remained in the living room. Arthur ran his hand through his hair in frustration. Jordan's exposure was completely outside his plan. "Your arm is broken, yet you still cause so much trouble," Arthur scolded. "If you had just stayed inside, would we have been discovered?" "So what if we were discovered?" Jordan asked back. "Then you have a stain on your reputation." Arthur couldn't finish his sentence. The sofa beside him sank as Jordan pressed him down, trapping Arthur between his good arm and his body, one knee resting on Arthur's thigh. His eyes were downcast, containing a rare anger. "Liking you as a stain?" Jordan asked. Arthur hadn't expected such a big reaction. "What are you doing?" "We have a lover relationship, essentially a contract. I will return all the money I took from you before. Is that how you see it?" Jordan's eyes were dark. "You said, even without him, I'll like the next man. Without me, who do you want to like?" Arthur stared at him silently. "You came out for me, yet you hid me. Are you paving the way for your next partner?" "Are you finished?" Arthur asked after a moment. "Yes," Jordan said expressionlessly. "Wait, are you jealous?" Arthur wanted to be angry at being pinned down, but he suddenly wanted to laugh. "Jealous of my non-existent next partner?" "Yes," Jordan admitted readily. "You won't have a next one." Arthur couldn't help but laugh, turning his face away, his ears red. "You're really interesting. I didn't plan to come out. She forced me. I wasn't going to drag you down with me. We share a bed. There is no dragging down. We are in the same boat. Can you stop being so crude? And get off. I need to lock the door." Jordan didn't move, staring straight at him. Arthur sighed, grabbed Jordan's collar, and kissed his lips. Getting angry over this is boring. Before he could finish, Jordan deepened the kiss, biting his lip. "Not boring. You are so cute. How could it be boring? You played me." Arthur pushed him away, face flushed. "You're such a good actor. Go into movies." "And this, what is this?" Jordan held up the bottle again. "Can't read Japanese? Need a translation?" Arthur snatched it. "Super Viagra cures impotence." Jordan laughed angrily and blocked his mouth again. Later, Arthur watched Jordan throw the photos of the women into the trash. Despite the chaos, Arthur felt relaxed. That afternoon, they played video games. In the evening, they watched a movie. You haven't seen this? Arthur asked, surprised. No. University was boring without you. Jordan smiled. Arthur was silenced. Masochist. And you? What did you do in university? Nothing much. Conquered every bar in the city. Arthur laughed, recalling his wild days. Suddenly, Arthur's phone rang. It was Benny. Arthur, you're famous. Benny screamed. Or rather, we are. Remember the farmhouse meal near the hot springs? We ran into Harrison filming that variety show. They didn't edit us out. The whole screen is filled with comments discussing you and Jordan. Arthur froze. He opened the video app. The variety show had exploded in views. In a restaurant elsewhere, Lucas watched the same show on the TV. They are together, he said quietly. I know, his assistant, Simon, replied calmly, cutting Lucas's steak. I checked. It's a sugar daddy relationship, Lucas said. Maybe not, Simon said. Eat. Then go back. Back where? To your home. To your fiancé? Simon said, standing up. I think we shouldn't contact each other anymore unless necessary. Lucas watched Simon leave, feeling a heavy weight in his chest. He pushed his plate away and called Arthur. What? Arthur answered impatiently. Arthur, let's meet. I have something important to ask you, Lucas said. No time. Don't call me. Arthur hung up and threw his phone onto the bed. It rolled and was about to fall when a large hand caught it. Still watching, Jordan leaned in. Arthur was rewatching the variety show on his iPad, specifically the comments. The editors had added pink bubbles and sound effects to their interactions. Look at this comment, Arthur pointed. Someone recognized me as Diana's son. Don't look at it. Jordan pushed the iPad away. Come help me change my dressing? At 4 a.m., Arthur was woken by a call. It was Carter. Come pick me up. Police station. Carter sounded exhausted. Arthur sat up. Jordan grabbed his waist. Where are you going? Picking up Carter. Something happened. I'll go with you. No. Stay here. Carter had been detained for 72 hours for illegal imprisonment. The one who reported him was a relative of Andy, his lover. Andy had framed him. He played me. Carter smoked a cigarette in Arthur's car, looking broken. I treated him well. Money can't buy hearts, Arthur said, though he felt a chill. If this happened to him and Jordan, would he fall for it? Yes. But he wouldn't be this pathetic. Days passed. Jordan's arm healed. The cast came off. It's ugly. Arthur laughed at the pale, atrophied arm. It will recover, Jordan said. Let's go on a date. Movie. In the theater, they wore masks. A high school couple sat opposite them, watching the variety show on a phone. The girl gushed about how handsome the passers-by were. I think they are more handsome than the celebrity Harrison, Jordan said to the girl, holding Arthur's hand under the seat. Arthur pinched him. Shameless. They went to their seats. Arthur froze. Sitting directly behind them was Jordan's high school homeroom teacher, a woman known as the nun for her strictness. Let's go, Arthur whispered. No. I want to watch this movie with you, Jordan insisted. Throughout the movie, Arthur was terrified of being recognized. When the movie reached its climax and the couple on-screen kissed, the boy in the front row turned to kiss his girlfriend, only to see the two tall men in the row behind lower their masks and share a deep, passionate kiss. They practically ran out of the theater when the lights came up. That was close. Arthur breathed in the car. Felt like high school. Jordan laughed. Secret dating. That night, Arthur wore his old high school uniform. It drove Jordan crazy. They were intimate, intense, and raw. Jordan whispered, Junior, give me a child? Get lost, Arthur panted. The next day, Arthur found Jordan hand-washing the uniform. I'm throwing it away, Arthur said, embarrassed. No, I'll wear it next time, Jordan said. Life moved on. They played basketball with Carter and Benny. Then, news came that Richard Sterling had collapsed. Brain tumor. At the hospital, the family gathered. Lucas tried to talk to Arthur about their mother, Diana. I checked. What happened between her and Dad? Wasn't her fault, Lucas said awkwardly. She was tricked by her agent. She wanted to leave, but she was pregnant with you, and Dad found out. Arthur listened, his expression unreadable. Is that it? I just thought you should know. I will visit her grave to apologize." Arthur walked away. Outside, Jordan was waiting with water. Arthur walked straight into his arms, burying his face in Jordan's shoulder. "He didn't die," Arthur mumbled. "Let's go home," Jordan said softly. Back home, Arthur finally opened up. He showed Jordan Diana's diary, the one proof of love he had. He read the entry where she wrote about loving him. "I believe you," Jordan said, hugging him. "Whatever you say, I believe." A few days later, Arthur went to a repair shop to pick up a matte black sports car he had ordered months ago. He drove it to pick up Jordan. "Nice car," the mechanic said. "You want me to sell it?" "Yeah. Sell it as secondhand." "I need money," Arthur said casually. He was liquefying his assets to start a racing club, and he thought Jordan needed help since he was bankrupt. "I'll lend you money," the mechanic offered. "No need." Arthur drove Jordan to a racing event where Harrison was competing. They ran into Harrison, who tried to recruit Arthur back to racing or to join his team. Arthur refused, revealing his plan to start a club. "I want to join your club," Harrison said immediately. "I can't afford you," Arthur said. "I don't care about the money. I want to be close to you," Harrison confessed. Arthur was stunned, then annoyed. "I don't need charity." They left, running into a reporter who recognized Arthur from the variety show and started asking aggressive questions about drug use and his mother. Arthur grabbed the reporter's livestream phone. "Listen up, you keyboard warriors. If I did drugs, report me. If not, shut up. I'll sue you for slander." Jordan stepped in, covering the camera. "My lawyer will contact you." The clip went viral. The police official account liked it, clearing Arthur's name. The next morning, Arthur woke up early. Jordan was still asleep. Arthur went to meet with a potential driver for his club. While he was out, Jordan woke up alone. He had been planning to confess the truth about his fake bankruptcy. He waited all day. Arthur didn't reply to his texts. That evening, Arthur went to Carter's apartment. Carter had returned from the Maldives with a file. "I investigated Jordan," Carter said. "He isn't bankrupt. He bought back his family's land using a shell company. He has more money than me." Arthur looked at the documents. He felt a cold numbness spreading through him. The car he sold, the worry, the contract, it was all a lie. Jordan had played him. Arthur drank beer until he was tipsy. He turned off his phone. Jordan called Carter, frantic. "He's here. He knows," Carter said. "He doesn't want to see you." Arthur stayed at Carter's overnight. The next morning, he went home. He sat in his living room, smoking. The gate opened. A familiar matte black sports car drove in. It was the one Arthur had sold yesterday. Jordan walked in. He saw the car keys on the table, the documents on the floor. "Any explanation?" Arthur asked. "No," Jordan said. "I lied. I didn't go bankrupt." "Get out," Arthur said. "We're done." "I accept the breakup," Jordan said calmly. "I will pay the penalty for breaching the contract." Arthur laughed bitterly. "Great. But," Jordan continued, taking off the ring they wore, "I will pursue you again. Not as a sugar baby. As a suitor. I want to marry you." "Dream on," Arthur scoffed. Jordan packed his bags and left. But he didn't go far. He moved into the house directly across the street. He had bought it days ago. "I'm your new neighbor," Jordan texted. Over the next few days, Jordan wooed him. He sent flowers. He stood on his balcony waving. He even put sticky notes on Arthur's door. One evening, Arthur finally let him in. "Just for a haircut," Arthur claimed. Jordan blew dry his hair. "We still have one breakup sex to do," Arthur said provocatively. "No," Jordan said. "Make up sex only." They reconciled. It was inevitable. Later, Jordan took Arthur to his company. He showed Arthur a USB drive. "This is the evidence regarding your mother," Jordan said. "I found the old manager. It contains recordings proving your grandmother and father forced the abortion issue and caused the stress leading to the accident." Arthur took the USB drive. He went to the Sterling mansion. The family was gathering for Richard's will. Arthur walked in, threw the USB drive on the table, and played the recording. The voices of the grandmother's henchmen filled the room. "I don't want your money," Arthur told them. "I just want you to live in fear of exposure every day." He walked out of the mansion into the rain. Jordan was waiting with an umbrella. "Let's go home," Jordan said. Arthur posted the evidence online. The public opinion flipped. The police reopened the case. Justice was finally in motion. Days later, they visited Diana's grave. It was covered in flowers from supporters. Driving back, Jordan stopped the car. He pulled out a ring box. This isn't a proposal because you haven't agreed yet, Jordan said. But wear it. Make one with your name on it next time, Arthur said, sliding it on. That night, lying in bed, exhausted and happy, Arthur looked at Jordan. Say you love me, Arthur demanded. I love you, Jordan smiled. I've loved you for many years. Since the first time I saw you. Me too, Arthur whispered. Idiot,